Welcome to your Inspirational Astrology Horoscope for Wednesday, October 9th, 2013. I am Astrologer David Palmer, the Leo King, here to illuminate the collective consciousness. Well, we have a lot to go over. Now, Mercury and Saturn are making their conjunction. And we also have Venus, which is squaring Neptune. So this is two transits that are happening side by side. One of them is very expansive, right? And the moon's still in Sagittarius today. So there's this feeling to want to open, to really explore, to learn, to grow. But always with Sagittarius, there's a fire, there's a positivity. And it's so interesting that when you mix this with Mercury and Saturn in Scorpio, this is dealing with our attitudes, our minds. This is dealing with a lot more restrictive energy. It's dealing with darker energy, more intense, more underneath, more hidden. It really is dealing with two high extremes. And right now we're faced with this. And especially in our attitudes and our minds, our attitudes are really getting through this sobering energy, but our feelings want to feel good and we want to explore, we want to feel great. Yet, Mercury and Saturn can be really hard on making things very, sober. They can also make things very, precise and making sure we're focusing our energy in a certain way. Now, the reason why I want to bring up Mercury and Saturn again is because Mercury is about to go retrograde here in about a week and a half. And what's interesting is Mercury is going to come retrograde and hit Saturn again, and then it's going to come and hit Saturn again. So we are going through the same transit that just happened yesterday and today. We're going to go over it a couple times. And I think a lot of this is wrapping our minds around what work there is in our life, where we need to pay attention to that deep, intense karmic work. A lot of this has to do with the struggles that we're trying to face in our life. And I would take a look in your chart and see where Saturn and Scorpio is for you. But a lot of this is understanding and clarifying the work. Now, it's so interesting that the universe is doing this all while Venus is squaring Neptune right now. And when Venus squares Neptune, there's a lot of powerful energy on our dreams, our imagination, and, even in relationships and spiritual energies and spiritual connections and spiritual value systems. And this is, some people can be real lost in their relationships. Some people can be real lost in what they're manifesting. Others could be way off track, maybe in a fantasy that can't come true. Maybe it's too fantasy-like. Maybe, today can really realize a lot of this energy. It's like, how do you make all this happen, though? And I think a lot of this is Mercury and Saturn, which even though there's this feeling of expansion and growing and wanting to feel great, there's a lot of work to do into this truth. And it's not going to be easy to make this dream come true in whatever relationships you want to or whatever you want to manifest in your life. There is work that must be done in anchoring in your truth and putting all that work in. And we are understanding what that is. Also, Mercury is trining over to Jupiter. And Mercury is going to go retrograde as it trines over to Jupiter. So there is a big understanding. A lot of this is us figuring things out in our head, figuring things out in the deepest roots of our mind, because to me, we really go deep with Scorpio. We go very to the core. We go very much to this very underneath, very deep, energy force that is a fixed energy. Scorpio is about passion. It is about drive. It is about really getting to the intensity of these emotions. And this is our emotions and our minds having to come together in big ways to understand where to restructure our lives, where to anchor our souls in. And with today, the feeling is to grow. The feeling is to expand. And with Venus here in Sagittarius, it wants to grow, 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 and it wants to take these amazing journeys in relationships. It wants to take these amazing journeys and go and see bigger and just be in the positivity of what we want to manifest. Yet, this can be very, it can be depressing energy that comes to people. Mercury and Saturn can be depressing. And I think we're getting out of you're setting your own depression, where the universe is really trying to grow and expand, and maybe you don't feel like certain aspects of your fantasies can come true or not. That's where you need to put the work in. In many ways, this is showing us what we need to do to get those dreams to come true. It's supposed to actually invigorate you. One thing about this is if you're willing to put the work in, if you're ready to dedicate yourself to it, yeah, baby. Jupiter, in Cancer expands your feelings now, ready to get new comfort zones. The moon, Venus energy in Sagittarius is like, woo! And it's this Neptune energy in Pisces, which is trying to channel your highest vibration, trying to channel your highest connection to source, your highest connection to the universe. So in order for this journey and this connection to come together, you have to understand both sides. So you need to align with a journey in partnership and align in a journey in manifestation that's based off your beliefs, based off this vision of where you want to go, but based off a spiritual vision, based off a very high energy source. And if you're not in that energy, it could lead to more of a depression than ever, because your mind starts to see, wow, my truth is this. There's a real big truth meter coming. Saturn is really real. Saturn comes in and goes, hey buddy, these are the laws, these are the rules, this is what the deal is. And Mercury comes by and as a calculator, poor little Mercury's a little calculator up in space. 2 + 2 is 4, 5 + 2 is 6. No, it's not literally 5 + 2 is 7, but you know what I mean. It's up there counting. Oh my gosh, look at this. So when it comes to Saturn, it's like, first of all, Mercury's little like timid when it comes to Saturn, because Saturn's a big boy and he's the dad and he's very, like precise, and Mercury wants to make sure it calculates correctly and it has to slow down. And we're slowing down in our life to make sure that we are registering that we're living in our truth. This is it. What are the blocks getting in between that? And as visions towards dreams and fantasies are right here, it's showing why you can't have them, and you desperately probably want them to come true. So it's about putting the work in. And if you look, the sun is about to square Jupiter here, which is all about expansion. What's getting in between you growing your feelings? What decisions are you not making in your life? Libra energy tends to weigh it all out. And there's two sides of the coin we're trying to play. And I think that we need to start understanding more of what we must do, more of dedicating towards this work, and starting to, with Mars and Leo, to go for our passions. That's really where this is to drive for this. We have this eclipse season building with, a big lunar eclipse coming in Aries, which is a fiery energy to push us. And we'll go into that. But, we are getting through a lot, and I don't want you to be depressed today, and I don't want you to feel sobering. And even though I think today will feel much more lighter than yesterday in this opening, it is the opening that you must find, but you've got to walk through it by putting the work in, by living in your truth. That's the only way to get to these doors that are opening by spirit. It's difficult to open some of these doors. It's a lot like in the Matrix, where you need the key holder to get to the door to go to the mainframe computer. And you know how hard it is to get the key maker. That's all for the Matrix nerds out there. And by the way, if you didn't know, I recommend everybody in the world that watches my channel watches the Matrix, and they actually take it seriously. Not in the fact that computers are running the world, but more in the fact that this reality is in many ways a connection to our soul. And in many ways that the way the Matrix works, it's our soul that is connecting to how this reality is working. So when things are happening problematic in your reality, it's going back to the soul to readjust things and remember that you're controlling the program there. And I think for a lot of us, these spiritual doors are difficult if you're not willing to live in your truth, if you're not willing to be honest with yourself, if you're not willing to dedicate and communicate to your mind and start to see that your emotions count on this, that your spirituality counts on this, that your heart counts on this, that the balance in your life counts on this, that the ability to live in a destiny that's based off these goals is where this is at. That's based off, more importantly, this deep core of what you really want. And in many ways, if you're not getting what you really want, it could make it depressing. But if you start to get a little bit of it, watch your attitude turn right around. And that's how you know you got to go work for it. So this is a powerful day. And dreams can come true. I want you to remember that. Whether or not you're willing to put all that work in, which is really living in the truth, but more importantly, understanding the vision, channeling from spirit, and knowing that this is a huge spiritual door that will open correctly, and will only do it if you're willing to go for it. Check out my website, inclusiveastrology.com, if you have any questions or if you want to have a one-on-one reading. Thank you guys for all your support, and I will see you tomorrow.